What up, guys? We are back and we are talking Kings of Urban versus Genesis for the RLCS playoffs that are this Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe is correct. So they're the other semifinal match. We already went over I by Power and Vex. If you didn't watch that, check out my recent videos. You'll see it up there. So let's just get right into it. This is the storyline of the weekend, I think, personally. Because the main storyline is Sad Jr. for Moses. What happened was, this actually happened after the RLCS sign-ins, but there was going to be, like, a second grace period where you can swap rosters, which most people didn't know about, which I think was probably a little bit poor communication by everyone, which, you know, that's fine. But I'm not going to get too much into that. Let's just talk about what happened. Sad Jr. and Kings of Urban, behind Genesis' back and behind Moses, who was on Kings of Urban, decided to pick up Sad Jr., Kings of Urban did, and replace Moses with Sad Jr. So this was like a big deal because, oh god, oh, I got bumped into it, that sucks. Because that left Genesis with really only one option, okay? And that was basically to pick up Moses to take a Sad Jr. spot. They also had Covenel as a sub, but they decided Moses might work better, so they decided to go with that. So pretty much everyone was thinking before RLCS, alright, Genesis is probably going to slip. They were right around top 6, like in that that second group of teams that were pretty good, but more on the bottom half of that group. And that's where everyone thought they would stay, but lo and behold, they've been playing really well. And now they're the number 3 seed going into the RLCS. And of course, who do they play? They face the number 2 seed Kings of Urban. So here's their chance to get some revenge against Kings of Urban. Both of them, like the two ex-Genesis players, Pluto and Quinn, I assume are not the happiest with Sad Jr. And then, of course, Moses, not the happiest with Fireburner and Jacob. So I think if they win this, they would be extremely happy. So this should be an interesting game, because it'll be a nice, like, rivalry, which we don't really see in North America a lot. Most teams like each other. So this should be interesting. And I assume, like, these guys have patched up anyway, but it's still interesting. You know, in the back of Genesis' mind, like, they want to win this, be like, so you thought you chose the 3 better players, huh? You know, like one of those. So let's get into the players. First, we'll start with Kings of Urban. Favorites to win this match, but I think it's going to be a close set. You got Sad Jr., who came over from Cosmic, my old teammate. Oh, I just got out of the way of that. He's one of the best players in North America. Like, I think people don't realize how good he is. And I think he got overshadowed by Crow when we played together. Hell, like, he even got, like, overshadowed by me sometimes, because everyone would talk about, like, my goalie skills and stuff. But Sad Jr. did a ton for the team, and he's, like, a really good player. So that's why Kings of Urban wanted him, I bet. So there's Sad Jr. He's really good at deflections. Watch for him going up the walls and waiting for a pass from Fireburner or Jacob. And just jumping off and redirecting it at like 100 miles per hour like into the net. He's insanely good at that. He's also pretty good at bumps. Like, he was one of the... Like, he did most of our bumping on Cosmic when we used to play. So that works right in line with all of Kings of Urban. They all like to bump. So that should be helpful for them. They're a super aggressive team with the demos on the goalie. And the thing is, like, their defense is solid, or at least, like, pinning the ball in the zone. And that's why they can get away with it, because then it turns into a 2-on-3, like, if they miss. But it's so hard to get it out of the zone against them, because they play the midfield game so strong, that it usually doesn't hurt them when they go for these dunks, and it only helps when they do actually connect with them. So that's Sad Jr. Fireburner is probably the guy everyone knows most for his demos and his defensive play. He's usually the, like, anchor of the team. He's been the, like, captain of the team basically forever. He's been on the team since the start. He's the only member that is like an original member. And he's just, like, solid. He's not super fancy, but he's, like, really good. Like, he's like super underrated, and people don't realize how good he is and how long he's been competing, like, at the top level. So watch out for him. You'll see him go for the passes, usually to Sad and Jacob, to try for those weird aerial hits. And he'll be the one on defense when it's like a 2-on-1 situation or a 3-on-1. He can waste enough time or just make the save to keep them out of the net. So watch out for that from Fireburner. And then there's Jacob. He actually comes back in, I guess it was, I think it was November, like the start of November or the end of November, I can't remember. He actually replaced Kyle Mask on the first roster change for Kings of Urban, if I'm not mistaken. He was on Perfect Storm. To be fair, on Perfect Storm, he was probably the best player by far on Perfect Storm, and that's why Kings wanted him, back when Gambit was on the team. And he's really good in the air. He's just a solid mechanical player, like really solid mechanical player. And he's also going to be going for some of those deflections or the backboard shots. Like Sad Jr. said it himself, that Jacob is really good off the backboard, so look out for those. And then we go to the Genesis side. They are a little bit more passive. I would say, like, I haven't seen a ton of them lately. Like, I plan on watching some VODs of them before going out there Saturday, because I haven't had a chance to watch them a lot. Like, unfortunately, we didn't get to see them at all on Sunday just because of the way production chose the matches. Like, we weren't sure if Orbit was going to show at first, so we didn't show Orbit games. And that was the game that we were going to show for Genesis, but it was earlier in the day, and at that point we already changed it, so what can you do? So for that, I would say, like, they're really good at small passes. Like, all three of them like to pass the ball and pass it, like, really close to each other. Like, the last time I played them, they had a lot of really good small passes on the offensive side, on the defensive side to each other that really worked out for them. So look out for that. They're really solid on the walls, especially Pluto and Moses, I would say. They're both insanely good on the walls. Quinn is probably the closest to, like, my playstyle. He's more of, like, a supportive player. Like, he's not the greatest mechanically. He's still really good mechanically, but he tends to give up the ball to his teammates and just let Pluto and Moses, like, do their work. So expect Quinn to maybe not, like, shine the brightest, but just make the smart plays that he needs to make. And it should be good enough for them. You won't see him make a ton of mistakes. It's more just, like, you won't see him make super fancy plays. Like that. That was not fancy, but we'll take the goal. So, yeah, looking for Quinn being that supportive player. And then we got Pluto. He loves the walls. Loves them. Sometimes it's a detriment, like in this game. He usually does well on clears on them, but he's so confident on the clears that sometimes if he screws up, it turns into, like, a center. So he's got to be careful with those. He's really good at just going for any ball. Like, he is just annoying and can get to every ball really quickly. He's actually really impressed me with... Oh, I just hit legend. Woo! He's really impressed me with his 1v1 skills. He's actually improved on those a ton. He wasn't the greatest one for... He was probably, like, in that second group of, like, all right, here's the ones that will always beat him. But now he actually beats, like, a Lachino from time to time and win some of those 1v1 market tournaments. So I'm really impressed in his play. Like, I think all of Genesis has just really cranked it up in the play department, and they really want to win. And I think that might help them here. Like, it's helped them during the group stage. I think they feel like they're the underdogs and they want to prove that they are good. And of course, like, the other pros know they're good. They probably think they're a little bit worse, maybe, than, say, the Kings of Urban players. But I think that's, like, the fuel that you need. Like, it's hard when you're a first-place team to always play to your potential or to always practice because you're just at the top. And it's like, all right, where do I go from here? There's no drive to get better because you're already there and you're, like, winning. So I think Genesis is in that perfect spot right now to climb the ranks because they know that they're not the best and that they want to be the best. So I think it's helping them. Like, Kings is kind of that way too, I guess, against Cosmic. But for the most part, they've been up near the top that, like, maybe they have a little bit less of a drive. Like, I think they still have a lot of drive as well. But I think Genesis just might have a little bit more. So next player, who did I not talk about? Moses. Moses, I actually don't know too much about. I don't watch his playstyle too often. So, again, I want to catch some VODs and stuff before heading out there. I know he's mechanically good. He's really good on the walls. I just don't know exactly what he does for Genesis, like, on the team. Like, on Kings, he used to be a little bit more passive, I think. I'm not sure if he's still that way on Genesis. He's more of, like, a question mark for me personally. I just haven't watched a ton of him. So I probably won't talk about him too much this weekend. But I'm gonna like investigate, hopefully, before I go out there and figure out like his play style, what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, you know, all that. So that's Genesis. But yeah, I think this is gonna be a closer series than people think. Like it could go one of two ways. Kings could just dominate, or Genesis could make it super close and have a potential to win like in 7 or 6, something like that. Because it's a best of 7 this weekend, guys. And then the third place game will also be this weekend, and the finals will be this weekend. So you'll get to see who wins. But the first games are actually the most important games, because if you come in first or second, you actually get an automatic bid into the group stage for qualifier 2. So you don't have to worry about that open qualifier nonsense. And so then you don't have to worry about best of 3s at all, which is really nice. That's a shot. Oh, almost. So yeah, these first games are huge. And of course, there's more points. Ooh, did I get it? Oh, damn, almost. Thought that would be in. There we go. And there's more points, of course, if you get first. But it's really about just like guaranteeing points in the second qualifier. Like, I think if you make top 2, you're almost guaranteed, unless you really screw up group stage the following week, to make the LAN. Because even if you finish like probably around like 5th or 6th, you should have enough points, unless everyone flip-flops and then like everyone passes you at the same time, but that's unlikely. It's usually going to be like the same teams that are going to finish in those high spots. So if you come in first or second and then you slip up, you're probably going to make it anyway, because the teams that beat you are probably going to be the ones that already had good placements. The only way that doesn't work is if like 5th from the first one comes in first, and then like 2 through 4s come in, you know, like 2nd, 3rd, and 4th or whatever, or like opposite. Then they'll probably have more points than you, but it's very unlikely. So it can almost guarantee you a LAN spot. So these first games are huge. Nice shot by our teammates. Love it. Yeah, so these are going to be really fun to watch. And then we still have the third place game, too. So even if these teams lose, they're still playing for points. Not playing for money at that point. And by the way, this is for $5,000. First and second to take a split. I think it's like $3,500, $1,500, somewhere around there. So there's a lot of money on the line for first and second in both regions. So it's not just to get LAN points and go for that 75 grand. Like, this is part of that 75 grand. 5 grand is going to each region, and then the same thing in qualifier 2. So this is a big portion of that prize pool, and teams should be prepared for it. So like, I want to see some quality games. Like, I felt like week 2 group stage for North America was a little shaky. Same with Europe for the most part. Like, Flipside was pretty strong, Kapow was pretty strong, Mocket was not too desirable, and then Weedham Girls are just too good. Like, even with a sub, they were carrying. So I just want to see some better games out of that. But yeah, so that's Genesis versus Kings of Urban. I don't think I put a prediction yet. I'm gonna say Kings in 6. I think Genesis can take a few. I think Kings just might have a couple of extra plays in some of these games to make that difference and win this in 6. It should be close set, though. I hope it's close set. Like, I don't want a blowout. So that should be fun. I should have scored that right there. Alright, we'll just fake them all day. But yeah, I think Kings in 6. And then we'll probably get the Cosmic versus Kings finals that everyone wants. And that should be a lot of fun. Sad Junior versus Crow. That should be a good time. And then we get Genesis versus Vex, which is like a good sub-card game, you know. There's not a lot of tension between those teams. So it's not as exciting compared to Kings and Cosmic, but it should be fun nonetheless. It'll be 2 solid teams battling it out. But yeah, so we're going to finish up this game, and then we'll call this a video. And if you guys have any thoughts of like who you think's going to win, who you think is really good, if you have more thoughts on Moses, because I haven't seen him play in a while, hey, you know, feel free to shoot him out there and we can chat about it. That'll be good, because I'm always looking for like other takes on some of these players or teams, especially from pro players. Like, I was just talking to A-Money earlier, and he watched my Vex video and was like, oh yeah, like I think Garrett's their best player. And I'm like, that's possible. Like, Garrett's been super hot. I just think Turtle, historically, which means like the past few months, has been the better player. But at this point, maybe while Garrett's been hot, he is the better player. But either way, that they all work well together. Oh, I did not wait long enough for that. Oopsies. But yeah, so definitely chime it in the comments. We'll chat. And yeah, I should be ramping up this YouTube again in the next month or so. I'll have more details about that soon. But that's all I'll say for now. But yeah, come check it out. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.